All right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome this morning to this beautiful facility that is here today. So I'm Tracy Banke. I am the Executive Director for the American Heart Association here in Northeast Ohio. So covering our Akron communities, Canton communities, Youngstown, and Mercer, Pennsylvania. And we have a number of American Heart Association staff with us here today as well. So Valerie Weber is our Community Impact Director. Who has been with the Heart Association for quite some time, truly making an impact in all of our communities and all of our mission work. Jen Fortney over there manages our Heart Walk campaigns across our Northeast Ohio team. We have Jessica Smiley, who's our communications director with us today. Valerie Stutler, who is in the back, who manages our social events. And then we have a great AHA volunteer as well, Buffy, with us today. And our Akron Heart Walk director and Youngstown Heart Walk director, Mike Long, just walked in. So just lots of AHA staff here as well that'll be here for any questions afterwards and things like that as we get started today. So obviously, welcome to our Cooking for Healthy Hearts. This is truly an educational experience designed to teach the basics of good nutrition, how to prepare healthy meals with an everyday home appliance like the crock pots that you see over here that everybody will be going home with today as well. And how to truly reduce sodium and sugar and prepare meals on a budget from items you may find right here at the food bank or low cost from a grocery store such as Bueller's. So thank you for joining us today. Again, please feel free. There's water, there's coffee over here as well. We'll be tasting all the treats later on today, the meals that we're going to be talking about. I do want to take a moment to just introduce our two speakers today and just thank both of them for helping us really bring this program to life. So Marlene Toot is a nutritionist and a great volunteer of the American Heart Association who sits on our board of directors. And then we have Brandon Hartle, who's the head chef at the River Styx Bueller's that is going to be cooking for us today as well. So with that, I'm going to get the program started and I'll kick it over to Marlene.
How am I doing so far on this not so sunny day? Okay, I want to get one thing straight right off the bat. I do have a master's degree in nutrition. However, I am never giving up hot fudge sundaes. They won't be as big, they won't be as often, but there will be a place for a hot fudge sundae in my diet. So the whole thing about that is moderation. I would say to anybody, do not take anything out of your diet that you love, because one day you will binge. So you keep it out of your diet, you keep it out of your diet, you keep it out of your diet, and then all of a sudden you think, oh my God, I have to have a hot fudge sundae, and you have a big one, and then you have several more after that. So moderate, have it in your diet, but have it just less often, and like I said, a smaller portion. Okay, moderation, not just hot fudge sundaes, but salt and sugar, two primary things that we want to talk about. These are wonderful little flyers that they gave you, and the current recommendation for salt is 2,300. American Heart Association would like it to see put down to 1,500. 2,300 milligrams of salt is equal to 1 teaspoon. So I know a lot of you are thinking, well, who puts a teaspoon in their food every day? Well, we're not talking about what you put in your food. We're talking about all the hidden places that salt can be. We forget about how much salt is in just prepared foods. Now, I'm not talking about things like we know there's salt in potato chips and pretzels and popcorn, but I'm talking about hidden salt. I'm talking about canned goods, some of which are canned vegetables, high in salt. Because they've preserved them, they have to put a lot of salt in them. Also things like soup, same reasoning. You need to check the ingredient panels, and there's a great section. We'll talk a little bit about ingredient panels in a little while. Packaged foods, frozen foods, and as I mentioned, canned foods. The one exception to frozen foods are just packages of plain vegetables. Say you get a little frozen package of green beans or corn, no salt. You can flip it over on the back and make sure. If they add sauces to any of those frozen vegetables, salt and probably butter and probably sugar. So in a typical green beans can, they say it's 2 servings, and they say that each of the servings has 470 milligrams. So 470 milligrams of salt in a half a can of green beans is a pretty big dent in this 2,300 milligrams. So you have to look at those numbers and act accordingly. Okay, one way from getting too much salt is to use fresh foods and then use minimal salt on your own. So if you're buying any vegetable, any fresh vegetable, and you're cooking it on your own, you want to just use minimal salt. And you'll find out that it really doesn't take too much salt with a fresh vegetable to make it very palatable. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Eating healthy does not have to be expensive, and that's contrary to what a lot of things people say. When you shop, look for fruits and vegetables that are on sale. I recently saw, maybe it was Bird's Eye, the little frozen packages of vegetables, 10 for $10. Obviously, you don't have to buy $10 worth, but if you want to buy 3 packages, that's enough for a family. One of those packages is enough for a family. That would be your vegetable for $1. And don't think they're not as good as fresh, because they are picked at the height of their ripeness. Vegetables are picked and packaged and frozen. So in many cases, a frozen vegetable could possibly be more fresh, have more nutrition in it than fresh. Because when you think of fresh, say it's coming from South Carolina or Florida, it's being picked, comes all the way up here on a truck, and then it goes to the grocery store, and then it sits in the store, and then you bring it home and probably don't cook it right away. So frozen, picked, frozen, boom. So in many instances, the frozen is actually better. Okay, I talked about the sauce. Frozen meals, the entire meals, usually high in salt. You need to check the nutrition labels on those because they are very high in salt. One of those could come at least halfway up to that number just for that one meal. Okay, why are we worried about too much salt? Too much salt in the diet, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, osteoporosis, and even on occasion, stomach cancer. So it would behoove everyone, all of us, to cut back on salt. Having said that, I was just at Costco. They have a new popcorn called strawberry popcorn. I bought this big bag, sugar, salt, the whole works. I need to throw it away. Okay, so some of the ways to tell if you're eating too much salt: you'll feel bloated, gain weight, blood pressure's high, you're puffy, you're very thirsty, you use the restroom a lot, you aren't sleeping well, you feel weak, or your stomach bothers you. Now, those symptoms can be a ton of other things too, but if you know in your mind that you've been eating a lot of salt and you have those symptoms, you know you've had too much. 9 out of 10 Americans consume too much salt in a day. Okay, and one final note about salt. More than 70% of your sodium comes from processed packaged food and restaurant food. So those are kind of all hidden ways that you get salt. I mean, you go to the restaurant and you think, well, I'm just going to have a pretty healthy meal. Salt, there's so much salt in the food that they prepare in restaurants. A lot of times I order something like a salad and I'll say no salt or whatever. I'll just say no salt and they're happy to do it. 10% is added while you cook. So I think we're all doing pretty well with that. We're only adding 10% of the total while we cook. So I think we're doing well with that. And then 15% is just occurring naturally because some foods just have salt within them. Okay, what about sugar? Daily recommended sugar intake is 6 teaspoons for women. And guess what, ladies? 9 for men. Now, what's wrong with this picture? That just doesn't quite seem fair. But again, we know we don't add 6 to 9 teaspoons of sugar to our food. I mean, we're not adding all that sugar in our coffee and our cereal. So what is it again? It's the hidden sugar. You know that 25% of ketchup is sugar. I mean, who would even think about sugar and ketchup? But when my grandson was very small, his mother and father would treat him once in a while to McDonald's. Of course, me being a nutritionist, I was always like, but once in a while. So one day he came over and I said, Dominic, what's your favorite food at McDonald's? And he said, ketchup. So we thought that was cute and funny, but now, years later, I'm seeing how much sugar we added to his diet because he was just, I mean, he was emptying the packs like they were He ate a lot of sugar. Okay, some of the worst offenders of sugar. We all know cookies, candy, ice cream, given. Those are all given. Cereal with added sugar, sugary soft drinks. You have to read the label on things like sugar because some of them in the ingredient panel, and for you all that have children, some cereal in the ingredient panel, and everything you buy, I'm going to spill this probably, has an ingredient panel. Some of the cereal has as the first ingredient sugar, not oats, not rice, not wheat, what should be in cereal, but sugar. If you go to the grocery store and you find a cereal like that and you're thinking, boy, my kids would really like these Fruit Loops, back on the shelf. If it says sugar as a first ingredient, don't even touch it. I mean, that's just out and out dangerous. Okay, what about soft drinks? A lot of people are switching their soft drinks to diet pop, which is saving them calories, and probably almost all of them are artificial sweetener. But a lot of research has been done that's telling us now that artificial sweetener, for some reason, cause people to want to eat more. So what are you sacrificing here? You know, maybe the good thing is just to stay away from soft drinks altogether if you can, because with the normal soft drinks, you're getting a ton of sugar. With the non-sugar soft drinks, you're getting whatever is in that artificial sweetener is making you want to eat more, so then you gain weight. So what else can you drink? Anybody have a good idea what we can drink? How about water? Okay, water's free. And I know so many people say, I just don't like water. I can't drink it. It's just, you know, I just can't get it down. I will say that I'm one person, speaking of, that can drink more water if it's room temperature. I have friends that say, I cannot drink room temperature water, but I won't, but I could probably drink this whole bottle right now because it is room temperature. If it was cold, I could maybe drink this much. So you have to be the one that decides that. Whatever way you can get water down, you have to be the one to decide it. I'm not doing that I'm just doing it because I'm thirsty. Okay, 64 ounces a day is ideal. That's 8 cups. And we're not talking mugs. We're talking an 8-ounce cup. So it comes out to 64 ounces. The human body is made up, believe it or not, of 70% water. So as we sit here, our bodies all contain, of the 100% of our body, 70% of it is water. It needs to be replenished every day. If it's not, there are problems. It's essential for maintaining a healthy weight, keeping up energy levels, flushing toxins out of the body. Those are very important things in your life. Some of the common symptoms of not getting enough water: dark urine. Now, this is kind of, I hate to even always bring this up, but your urine should be the palest of yellow. As soon as it starts getting to be yellow or dark, not enough water. You're into the stages of dehydration. Some other symptoms: feeling thirsty, bad breath, muscle cramps, fatigue, headaches, dry skin, constipation, and one of the very worst is elevated cravings for sweets. So it's like a vicious circle. And then that could lead to weight gain. So what counts as your 8 cups a day? There are a lot of things: your coffee, your tea, fruit juice, but I kind of say stay away from fruit juice. If you look at even one of those little bottles of grapefruit juice, there's something like, I don't know, I think it's 40 grams of sugar, which equates to 10 teaspoons of sugar in that little bottle. So I'm a little off on, better to eat the whole fruit. Soup broth, as long as it's a low sodium, can count toward your liquids. But by saying coffee, tea, soup broth, so forth, that doesn't give you the go ahead, the green light to have 10 cups of coffee a day. That is not a good idea. So, you know, you can include those things in, but a lot of it should be water. The basic part of it should be water. Statistics show that almost half of Americans don't drink enough water, and as many as 7% don't drink any water at all, which is scary. A good idea, at least it's worked for me, I don't have to do it anymore, but I did for a long time, is to feel a container or a pitcher with a lid with 64 ounces of water, and make sure that by the time you go to bed, it's gone. And in the early days, I could remember standing in my kitchen, drinking water at 10 o'clock at night, because I had in my head, I have to have this gone before I go to bed. So at 10 o'clock at night, I'm trying to get these last 2 cups down, which you know what that means. Drinking something late gives you a good excuse to have to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. The other thing is to squeeze some lemon or some orange juice in this water, makes it much more palatable. I love to dice up cucumbers or slice cucumbers and put it in my container. And they'll even do that in a restaurant. Many times I've asked them to put cucumber in my water and they're happy to do it. Okay, food labels. I'm not going to talk about food labels because this is one of the best descriptions in this little magazine here. So very important when you buy things that you look at food labels. It's in there somewhere. Don't assume that if you think a whole can of something is 1 serving, don't assume that it is. And my perfect example is Haagen-Dazs ice cream. That little container, Haagen-Dazs 16 ounce, we've all seen that, says on there 4 servings. So I'm thinking, can you just see a mother and father, 2 teenage boys, sitting down to watch Monday Night Football and dividing this little container by 4? It's not going to happen. More often, each of them would have one of those containers and they think that was 1 serving. Well, it's not. So where it has the serving size and it tells you, okay, I found it. At the top, it says serving size. And this one happens to say 2/3 of a cup. It says there are 8 servings. Whatever this item is, it says there are 8 servings. Each serving has 230 calories, not just the whole thing. Each of those 8 servings has 230. So if you want to eat the whole container, whatever that is, you multiply that 230 calories times 8, because that's what it is. This calorie only means 1 of the 8 servings, or how many servings are in there. Okay. In this particular case, you'd be eating 1,840 calories a day, whatever this is. So that would pretty much say there's pretty much your whole day of calories that you should have. Again, check the sugar and salt. In things like cereal, what you want to look for in a good cereal: protein, fiber. Things you don't want: a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, and fat. Particularly, you're going to have some fat, but you don't want to have trans fat for sure. Okay, a word about bread. Does anybody know what the best bread is for us? Whole grain. But they want to fool us because they want to sell bread. So it'll say 10 grain, total nutrition bread, wheat bread, whatever. Again, on the ingredient panel, looking for something. On the ingredient panel of bread, turn it around to the ingredients. The very first item should have the word whole in it. If it doesn't have the whole grain, it's been changed in some way and it's not near as healthy for you. First word: whole wheat, whole grain, whole rye, however, first word: whole, W-H-O-L-E. And I'm going to write that down just to remind everybody. Like I say, ingredient panel, first word: whole. That means that they haven't altered the grain in any way. Serving sizes, again, in here, it's recommended that you eat 4 servings of fruits, 5 servings of vegetables, and this really breaks it down nicely. It tells you what's considered a whole, one of those servings would be like a whole piece of fruit: an orange, an apple, a half a cup of frozen or canned fruit. It breaks it down. I mean, a serving isn't what you want it to be a serving. A serving is broken down here, what it takes to make a serving. Okay, I know that you're about to hear from our wonderful chef Brandon here to explain the benefits of these slow cookers, which I now say slow cooker because I thought crock pot was giving away my age, because 100 years ago when we started using them, they were called crock pots, but I understand it's still okay to say that. So the meals that he's going to show you look amazing, and I'm going to try them myself. But I will say that on occasion, when I haven't had enough time to put a lot of ingredients in a crock pot, I'm really in a hurry, I will throw in a piece of meat, whether it's like a chuck roast or, a couple chicken breasts. I'll put in some potatoes, some carrots, some water, and not the healthiest, but when you consider it's over a whole meal, 1 package of Lipton's dry onion soup. Sprinkle it on top, cook it on high for probably 3 hours on high for beef and maybe a little less for chicken, just till it, but the beef will actually, you can break it up with a fork. It's very good. But having said that, red meat isn't an everyday thing. Red meat is once in a while, but like I say, you can substitute chicken. One thing, I wasn't asked to do this, but I cannot ever talk about wellness without throwing in exercise. It's just who I am. So I would say, do any of you exercise? Let me see who exercises. Okay, very important. As important as nutrition. I mean, if you want to lose weight until you're probably about 30, you can either cut back on your food or you can exercise. After that, it almost takes both to lose weight. So, and when I say exercise, I don't mean to go out and run a marathon. I mean, take a walk. And it only has to be 10 minutes at a time. So you walk for 10 minutes and you go about your day, blah, blah, blah. And then you take another 10-minute walk. It can be broken up in any way you want to, but a half hour a day. Walking isn't a hardship. I mean, it can be, you can do it with the family and talk about what you did during the day, however you want to do it. But it's just that important. When I first started running, I thought I knew what I was doing. So I went out and I ran and I'd stop and I finally got back, and my husband at the time, I came back and I was like, and he said, "What's the matter with you?" And I said, I just ran. And he said, "Well, how far did you go?" And I said, "A mile." He said, "Are you nuts? You go out for the first time and you think you can run a mile?" And I said, "You know what? I thought that's what I said." He said, "No, what you do," and this is what you can do with running or walking. You leave your house, or if you're going to do it on a track, however you want to do it, you leave your house, say, and you walk or run until you feel a little bit breathless, and you stop and you look and say, "Okay, I've made it to this gray house." The next day you go out and you go a couple houses past that. You build it up to a mile. And then maybe you get to a mile. And then you say, "Okay, I'm going to do a mile for 2 weeks. And then I'm going to see if I can go a little bit." It has to be gradual. Okay. Thanks for your I probably went way past my time. Thanks for your attention. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
And it's 300 milligrams of, say, sugar or sodium.
You're good. You're good.
Are you still getting the equivalent since it's already pre-made of the sodium and the sugar?
Okay, let's just take it. Say, and that is, you're very good. That is the correct amount of a serving of peanut butter is 2 tablespoons, according to the peanut butter jar. So everything on there that it says is for 2 tablespoons. If you cut it to 1 tablespoon, break all those numbers in half. But peanut butter is a good thing. I mean, you don't want to overdo it, but it has protein in it. It is not a bad thing to eat. It's a good thing. Again, everything in moderation, but it has some very good things in it. But you're very informed. Good for you. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, I will get out of Brandon's way because he has important things to do. Yes. Microphone. I didn't want to put it on. I don't want to take it off. Brandon.
How are y'all folks doing today? Good? Alrighty, so today we're just gonna make a couple of quick, easy things that we can do in a crock pot. These are great for a weeknight meal. Chili, great for, weekends, game days. It's also turkey, so it's a little bit healthier for you. All right, so first we're gonna start with our minestrone soup. Packed with vegetables, Got a nice tomato base in there. It's got some good flavor from that Italian seasoning. So first, we're gonna start with just an onion. What's nice about working with slow cookers and crock pots is that you don't have to cut everything super small. Cooking it for a lengthy amount of time, everything's gonna soften and become real tender. So you could cut these into a very small 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch size, or if you like your soups to be a little bit heartier, like I do. And just you can leave them in some nice like 1/2 inch size pieces in the pot. All right, next. Good. We're gonna peel some carrots. Just a few carrots. Today we're looking about having about 4 or 5. We're just gonna peel and slice all of these guys. Again, you don't have to get all of the peel off. I mean, rinse your vegetables. That's a good place to start. But you'll find a lot of the nutrients in that peel and the skin. And it'll save you a little bit of time as well. Sure, it might be a little more fibrous. May not be as palatable, but you'll get all those nutrients, the fiber as well from that skin. So just with these carrots, you just want to slice them up in your crock pot. Now as I'm going through this, I mean, you don't have to be quick, but one of the most dangerous tools you can have in your kitchen is a dull knife. You're gonna have to end up applying more pressure to whatever you're cutting. It could roll away from you, lose part of a finger, or not to scare a whole finger entirely. It's scary, it's not fun. So take care of your tools and they'll take care of you.
Jeff, could I interrupt you for just a second?
Of course.
Guys, if you are having a hard time, would like to see closer what Jeff's doing, please move up. We would love to see you get close so we can kind of hear you a little better.
Don't worry, I won't bite. Not today. So after our celery, or sorry, after our carrots, we'll just go ahead and cut our celery. Each of these ribs will just split in half lengthwise. And then just cut across each rib. Again, you don't have to cut them in super small pieces. It saves you a little bit of time, a little effort. And if you like your soups a little bit heartier, they're nice for that as well. All right, carrots, onions, celery. That's gonna be the base of a lot of your soups. They provide a nice base for a lot of different kinds of soups. All right. Next, we're gonna go into our green beans. If you don't have fresh, I mean, frozen will certainly work just as well. Just keep in mind that if you do use like a frozen green bean or frozen vegetable, there's going to be a little extra moisture that comes with that. There could be a little bit of ice crystals on the vegetable itself. So just keep in mind, you may not have to add as much liquid, whether it be chicken stock, water, vegetable stock. anything like that. So these we're just going to cut into nice little 1-inch bite-sized pieces. And then these are going to go right into our crock pot. These folding cutting mats are real nice. You can pick things up, move them around. Just be advised, they will slide on your countertop a little bit. So if you put just like a wet paper towel underneath or a wet cloth, it'll stay in place for you. It's not going to move around. Also a smaller chance of injury as well. So then that's going to be the bulk of our vegetables. Here we're going to use some diced tomatoes. These ones do not have to be drained. Just right in. And then we're going to use our chickpeas, or these are garbanzo beans. These are our primary ingredient in hummus. So we'll take these. If you can find a low sodium, by all means go for it. If not, just rinse. You'll get a lot of that brine off of there. It's a water, salt. Does it impart flavor? Absolutely. But if you're really, really trying to watch your salt like we are today, just give all your beans a quick rinse. All right, so then these guys will go in. All right, and then we got 1 can of kidney beans. Again, same thing. Just rinse your beans real quick. So while those are rinsing, we're going to go ahead and season our soup. We're not going to use a whole lot of salt or pepper. Now feel free to, play with these seasonings a little bit. These recipes are just a guideline for you. We're trying to give you a basic idea of what can I do with the ingredients I can gather. So if you like a little more herbs, feel free to add some, some like dried oregano, dried thyme, rosemary, something like that. So here, got our black pepper, a little bit of salt, got some garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, and a couple of bay leaves just to help season that broth. Again, we'll remove these at the end. They're not designed to be eaten. They're very fibrous. And I know a while back I believe it was Chipotle, somebody found leaves in their rice or in their beans, and they complained like, oh, what are these leaves from outside doing in my bowl? That's what these are. They just provide a lot of flavor, a lot of savory kind of notes. And then our kidney beans. And I believe that's going to be about it for this one. Just double check here. Yep, so that's going to be about it. We'll go ahead and cook this guy on low for a few hours. And then after that's done, about 30 minutes before we're ready to eat. So if you go ahead and set this, go to work, come back home. And then we've got some zucchini that we're going to do here in a little bit, just as it's finishing, because it doesn't take nearly as long to cook. If you overcook it, it's going to end up being like a little spongy, slimy. It's not the tastiest. So it's just something to keep in mind, is the timing of how long each thing takes to cook. We're not going to stir this. We're just going to let it go. You'll want those bay leaves to stay on the top. So that way you can pick them out later when we add our zucchini and our parsley. And also, as we come home from our day at work, we'll just cook just about a quarter to a half a box of any kind of pasta, any kind of small shape, small shells, ditalini. You can find acini di pepe in like an Italian style wedding soup. Those are those little pasta balls. Any like small pasta, bite size or half bite size, goes well in this. You don't have to use, the ditalini. Use whatever you can find. You just want to follow your packaging instructions on these. Usually about a gallon of water per pound of pasta, or 2 quarts for a half pound, 1 quart for a quarter pound. And typically these boxes are going to be 1 pound packages. So just follow the instructions. After it's done, we'll put a little bit of oil on it, whatever oil you have, canola, vegetable, olive, whatever you have. And then just to prevent it from sticking, and then we'll add it to our soup. And that's going to be about it for the minestrone. Any questions on the minestrone before we dive into chili? Nope. All right, just give me a second here. I'll reset for chili. Actually, you know what? I did forget one thing. Our chicken broth. Now, what would a soup be without any kind of broth, right? If you can find a box or a can of any kind of your favorite chicken broth, vegetable broth, if you want to keep it vegetarian, by all means, go for that chicken broth, or sorry, the vegetable, or even like a mushroom stock, or something like that. Just try to stay away from like the stock bases. You can find them in little jars, or you can even find them in small cubes. Just add water. They're packed with salt. So if that's your only option, remove the salt from this recipe. Those bases are going to give you more than enough salt than you're going to need. Again, just be mindful of what you're putting in your body. Okay. All right, anybody like chili? Good on a hot dog, extra beans, great on game day with maybe a little bit of sour cream, cheese, onions. Or if you're trying to keep it, dairy free for those, who have issues with lactose, feel free to omit those. It's going to help cut down on your salt and your fat intake as well. But those are some very nice garnishes. Maybe like some fresh jalapeno if you can find it. red onion, yellow onion, gives a nice texture, gives some additional flavor. All right, so we're gonna start with our chili. All right, so today we're gonna make a turkey chili. If you can't find turkey, ground chicken works really well as a substitute. So here we're just going to use just 2 pounds of our ground turkey. This one, folks, is real easy. Just put everything in here. The recipe you'll receive today with your crock pots instructs you to mix, bag, and freeze these items. So it's a great item to make in bulk. If you're only going to make a little bit at a time or eat a little bit at a time. It's nice to put in about, 5-10 minutes of effort and get about 2 to 4 meals out of that time. For those folks who are strapped for time, can't find enough time in the day to, just do your daily tasks. This is something easy, quick, that can, you'll get a lot of yield out of it. All right, so a couple pounds of turkey. We're gonna do, some kidney beans. We're gonna do some pinto beans, and we're gonna do some black beans. So this one is packed full of protein from your turkey, your beans. Just like the minestrone, make sure you drain and rinse all your beans. Now, just one quick tip for beans. I know a lot of time canned beans are a little more accessible. If you can find a dried bean in your local grocer, just let it soak in water and then just rinse before you use it. That's only gonna yield maybe about like 10 milligrams of sodium, whereas a canned bean alone, even if it's drained, you're looking at 2, 3, sometimes 400 milligrams just in your beans. So it's those little things that don't take a whole lot of effort, just in a Tupperware, just on your counter or even in your refrigerator. Again, it's just one small thing that we can do to make our quality of life just a little bit better. All right, so we're going to start by draining all of our beans. Got 2 black beans, 2 pinto beans, and a kidney bean. So we've got our just diced tomatoes and a little bit of tomato sauce. That's going to give us our base and our liquid, so that way this turkey doesn't end up dry. So another thing for rinsing your beans is you'll reduce a little bit of the starch. So those folks who have any issues with like protein or protein sensitivities, you'll help to reduce some of that concern. Now, I can't tell you that's going to eliminate everything entirely, but if that's what we can do to help the folks that we care about and take care of them. That's the easy thing. So we'll just add all of our beans, and then we'll add just a little bit of our seasoning. Just a little bit of chili powder, cumin, oregano. It's like sometimes it's better to not measure. I mean, sure, these recipes, they'll give you a guideline, kind of an expectation for you. Like I'll make a recipe once kind of as a guideline. So I'm like, okay, this is what I'm shooting for. This is my goal. How can I make it better? I can adjust it to my own taste. Like if you don't like things spicy, feel free to leave out the chili powder, the pepper flakes. If you can't handle a lot of heat or whatever the case may be, feel free to omit that. You can use in favor of like a smoked paprika. It's really nice and chili, like a coney sauce, barbecue, anything like that. That smokiness, comes through quite nicely in a lot of these applications. The last thing that we're going to need here is just some corn. Today we're going to recommend using frozen corn, just to help reduce that sodium. So if you look at this label here, sodium 0. There's no salt in this package. Sure, there might be a little bit of naturally occurring sodium in the corn, but you're not adding anything to it. So that's the big thing. As we had mentioned previously, if you'll find this corn in like a butter and a parsley sauce, that's where your fat, that's where your salt's coming from. Is it going to taste better? Most likely. But if we can help mitigate any kind of that sodium, any of those fats that we're adding to our diet. So just one tip that I have for any kind of vegetable, whether it be fresh, frozen, canned, whatever, give it a rinse, a little bit of oil, maybe like just a little bit of lemon juice, or even just a little lemon zest, salt, pepper, and garlic. That's all I put on my vegetables, and my family, all the plates are clean. It's nice for me to see that like what I'm doing is having a positive effect on my family and my loved ones. So this will cook for a few hours on high, or if you're going to be out of the house for a while, turn it down to low, let it go a little bit longer. Feel free to stir this one throughout, just so that way that turkey has a chance to cook evenly. Yeah, and I think that's about it for chili. Any questions on chili? No? All right. So now that our minestrone, is essentially done, here after we come back from work, a little bit of frozen spinach. You can find them in like nice bricks or even in bags. That's nice as well. All right, we're going to add just a little bit of parsley. You can use this as a garnish. You can just tear or chop. So we're going to add this one in here. Just give it a nice vibrant green color. You don't need a lot. Feel free to use dried as well. You'll need about 1/3 the volume dry as you would for fresh. So if a recipe calls for, let's say, 1 cup of fresh chopped parsley, you'll need about 1/3 of a cup of dry, just for that same level of intensity. Where'd it go? All right. So after we come back from work, we'll cook up this pasta for the minestrone. Today we are using ditalini. It's just a small, just round kind of pasta. almost like a rigatoni, but like miniature. So this guy's gonna go in here. That's gonna give us our start. So it's gonna be real filling along with all of those vegetables. And then as far as this zucchini goes, just cut it into small pieces, looking about a 1/2 inch or even a 1/4 inch if you don't like them so big. Add them to our pot while the pasta's cooking. And that's going to be about it for our minestrone. We're going to let this cook for another few minutes, anywhere between 10 to 30, depending on how cooked you like your squash. If you can't find zucchini, a nice yellow squash, especially in the summertime, they're a little bit less expensive, a little fresher. That's a nice option as well. That's going to be our minestrone. Cool. Any questions at all on what I've spoken about today? Any questions regarding food in general? All right. Well, I thank you folks very much for your time. Again, my name is Chef Brandon. You can find me up at Bueller's in Medina, or you can speak with our folks in Jackson, New Philadelphia, Wadsworth. Anywhere our folks are quite friendly, they'd be glad to help you out with anything that you folks would need. Thank you.
All right, everyone. So both of the recipes that Chef Brandon made today are in the packet that's all in front of you and that you'll be getting with your crock pots today as well. So can we give another round of applause for Chef Brandon and Marlene today? And Chef Brandon was nice enough to prepare both meals ahead of time so that everyone could try some, kind of like a traditional cooking show. It's like, ta-da, your slow cooker meal's done in just a few minutes. So our team is going to work on getting those samples out to everybody. Also remember too that substitutions are great for protein for some of these meals and things like that as well. So I do want to make mention the minestrone is a vegetarian dish and the chili is also gluten-free. Just as a side note from those as well. And if you were invited today by a community health worker, make sure you connect with them before you leave today to sign the paperwork, and then we'll get you your crock pot and everything ready to go for you. But we'll start serving these up in just a minute here. So thanks, everyone.